Now we will discuss gas lasers. Now there are two types of lasers that we are going to discuss, and we have discussed two types of solid state lasers, one the Ruby laser and ND-YAG laser. Then when we talk about gas laser, we will again discuss two lasers, helium neon laser and carbon dioxide laser. Now, as the name suggests, here the active material is gas. A helium neon laser was the second laser that was invented. So after Ruby laser, helium neon laser was invented, and this is a gas laser, as I mentioned earlier, and this is a 4-level energy system laser. So first we'll understand the active medium. So active medium is mixture of helium and neon. The ratio is 10:1, helium to neon. That means we understand helium is the basic, and within helium we are doping some neon. We can think of that. Because again, for metastable energy level, doping is required. So here, when neon is doped in helium, then we get metastable energy level for neon gas, for neon atoms. How we'll understand. And here the population inversion, or better to say first, pumping. The pumping is done here by the method of electric discharge. Here by the method of electric discharge, pumping is done. Pumping means again you need to supply energy. So here what type of energy you are supplying? You are supplying electrical energy. So just there are two connections, two metal connectors, and whenever these two metal connectors are connected with a power supply, then you are supplying electrical energy. So that here electric discharge will occur. That means you are actually supplying highly energetic electrons into the mixture. That's what you are doing. You are supplying highly energetic electrons into the gas mixture of helium and neon. So this is our active medium, and this is the pumping mechanism. Next, you require optical resonator. For that, again, same process. Only the point is here, the material is gas medium. Therefore, you need to place this gas material within some chamber. So this is the chamber within the gas mixture is placed, and at the two end of the chamber, you are placing again two mirrors, two flat parallel mirrors. One is fully silvered, another is partially silvered mirror. This is a basic construction. Actually, we can do some engineering tricks here also. But basic thing, you require two mirrors at the two end. One is fully silvered, that means we expect 100% reflection from it. There will not be any light energy coming out from this mirror. Whereas the other one is partially silvered, that means we can expect some light energy can be emitted through it. Say 10% will be emitted. So that will be partially silvered mirror. That means through this end, light will be emitted. Now, the working principle. So as I have said, this is a 4-level energy system. Let me give the name. So this is the helium atoms. We are considering E naught and say E dash for helium atoms. Don't understand that between E naught and E dash there is no energy levels. We are not mentioning them here. But there may be other energy levels present. We are only bothering about these two for helium because that is not required. Whereas in case of neon, which is the most important case, for neon, you observe 4 energy levels we have drawn. This is the simplified energy level system I have drawn. This is not the actual case. This is for your understanding. So it is E1, this one E2, E3, E4. So it is a 4-level energy system. 4-level energy system. Which one is metastable? E4 is the metastable. E4 is the metastable. That means again, pumping will be done between E naught, E dash, that means ground to top, that means metastable. Whereas, so these two energy levels are involved for pumping. Whereas, as expected, population inversion will be done between these two energy levels, E3 and E4, because E4 is the metastable. So this involves E4 and E3 for population inversion. So two different combination. Okay. So first we require pumping. Now please understand, in case of optical pumping, we have directly pumped the E1 atoms to the high energy level. But here is not that. In case of electrical discharge, for electrical discharge, generally the lighter atoms are excited first. Lighter atoms means which one is lighter between helium and neon? Helium. Helium atoms are more lighter than neon atoms. So whenever electric discharge occurs, electric discharge means you are supplying some in a highly energetic electrons. Those electrons supply their energy to the helium atoms. So there are some atoms here, helium atoms. These helium atoms take the energy from the electrons and they are excited to E dash. Helium atoms are excited, not the neon atoms. Why? Because helium atoms are light. They are lighter than neon atoms. So they will be excited by the electric discharge. Now, these helium atoms are highly excited. So these helium atoms, we are saying highly excited. These are one helium atom, highly excited helium atom. Now, this is a mixture of gas. So there are some helium atoms, there are some neon atoms. These helium atoms, when it is excited, it moves randomly. You have supplied some energy to the helium atom. What the helium atom will do that with that energy? They will roam around freely with high energy. That means the collision probability, the probability of collision of that helium with any other atom will be increased. So now this helium atom may collide with a neon atom at ground state. So this neon atom was at ground state. It collides with the neon atom at ground state and transfers its energy. So that now it will be helium, normal helium, and neon will be excited. Now you observe this energy level E dash of helium is very close to E4 of neon, very close. Actually, it is slightly, this energy level is just slightly below the E dash. But that energy, that's very small difference, this small difference can be obtained, can be achieved from the room temperature. Therefore, the point is, whenever this type of collision occurs between excited helium and a neon, then neon atoms are actually excited from ground to E4. So please understand here, ultimately neon atom is excited. Ultimately neon atoms is excited from E1 to E4. But that is not directly by the electric discharge. By the method of collision, this occurs. By the method of collision, this process occurs. So what you are, how you are exciting neon atoms? Again, you are supplying some electric energy. The helium atoms absorb that energy and excited to high energy level E dash. Since E dash and E4 of neon atom is very close, when these excited helium atoms collide with any ground state neon atom, then helium atom and neon atom exchange their energy. That means helium atom will be now de-excited, so it will come down to the lowest energy level, and neon atom is now excited. Neon atom is now excited to E4, which is a metastable energy level. That means the neon atom will stay here now. The neon atom will stay here. Meanwhile, you are doing the continuous process. Please understand, you can supply electrons into that gas mixture continuously. This is not a pulse method. You can supply the electrons continuously. So you are increasing the number of atoms in metastable energy level continuously. So after some time, the number of atoms in E4 will be greater than number of atoms in E3. N4 will be greater than N3. That means population inversion is achieved between these two energy levels. Therefore, some atoms will be de-excited to E3 by spontaneous emission method. Some photons will be created. You will again trap those photons. Same process. You will trap those photons which are moving in a particular direction. Those photons will trigger the stimulated emission process, so that now two photons are there. One, the emitted photon, another the stimulating photon. You will trap those photons again, and the process will continue, so that we get amplification. So between E3 and E4, we get the lasing beam, because between these two we get the stimulated emission, because between these two we get the population inversion. So now whenever the atoms are de-excited to E3 by spontaneous and stimulated emission process, E3 is a normal energy level, so atoms will not stay. They will automatically come down to E2. E2 is also a normal energy level. They will not stay. They will come down to E1. So you have started the atoms from E1. They are coming back to E1. But meanwhile, the lasing action is done. The atoms which are coming down from E3 to E2, they are releasing energy E3 minus E2. That energy is released by spontaneous emission method. So it's not of our use. Again, the atoms which are coming down from E2 to E1, they are releasing the energy in the form of heat energy, radiation-less transition. There is no photon created. Heat is created. So it is also not of any use for us. So we are only interested between E3 and E4. Now, what is the energy difference? Energy difference is E4 minus E3. So that will be equal to hc by lambda. So from that we get the wavelength. What is the wavelength? If I calculate, this wavelength comes out to be 6328 angstrom. It is also in the red region, like ruby laser. So helium neon laser produces light also, which is in the visible range, red zone. In fact, in our lab also, we have helium neon laser. When it is the college will reopen and you can visit the lab, you can observe that helium neon laser. So this is our helium neon laser. So you observe by helium neon laser, we have overcome both the problems in ruby laser. That now helium neon laser is a continuous laser because pumping is done by continuous process. So we are getting the light energy in a continuous manner. So helium neon is a continuous laser, not like ruby laser. And another problem is also solved, that now ground state is not involved in the lasing process. E3 and E4 are involved. So ground state is not involved. Therefore, both of the problems are now overcome. Now the point is, helium neon is a very efficient laser, but the output energy, or better to say, intensity of output intensity is not very large. So generally, helium neon laser cannot be utilized for, cutting or welding purposes, where you require a very large intensity of light. For that, we require CO2 laser. Till date, the most efficient laser in the context of divergence, that means how directional the light beam will be, or in the context of high intensity, CO2 laser is the best. And this was invented in Bell Laboratory by an Indian scientist. Indian means he was not born in India, but he has some lineage in India. Kumar Patel. C.K. Patel invented this CO2 laser in Bell Laboratory before 1970s, I think. Okay, now again, for any type of laser, first thing we require, what are the active media? What are the materials we require? Like helium neon, we require helium and neon. Here, the active medium is carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and helium or H2O vapor. So it's a mixture of this. Either we require, generally we use carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and helium. Sometimes instead of helium, H2O can also be used, but in the vapor form. This is the only type of laser we have discussed, is a molecular gas laser. That means so far, whenever we are talking about the energy level diagrams, these are energy levels for atoms. So atomic energy levels, that means these are for electronic states. But now we are talking about molecular gas levels. That means in general, the whole molecule is involved. So it is not about transfer of electrons. Whenever we are saying an atom is excited, what does that mean? It means actually an electron jumps from low energy level to high energy level. As simple as that. But in case of molecular gas laser, the situation is different because here the whole molecule is involved. I'm not going into the detail of that, how it is involved. Actually, in case of CO2 laser, there are 3 types of molecular vibrations that are involved: symmetrical, asymmetrical, and bending These are the three types of molecular vibration by which we get different energy levels. So that is not required for you. The point you just need to know, this is a molecular gas laser. This is the only type of laser we are discussing. Next, so active medium is done. Next, what you require? You require pumping. And I told you that for gas laser, it is convenient to use electric discharge. So here again, we use electric discharge. For optical resonator, we require 2 mirrors as usual. Better coating you can use, better type of mirror you get. That means instead of normal type of coating at the back of the mirror, if you use silver coating, it will be better. Instead of silver, if you can use gold, it will be more better for light reflection. So one will be fully silver, the other will be partially silver. The output can be continuous or pulse laser as you require. Depending on your choice, you can make it as a continuous laser or pulse laser. Generally, we use continuous laser as CO2 laser. Again, we have another choice. In the last three types of laser, the output wavelength was a single wavelength because it depends on the energy levels, and we have only one pair of energy levels, say E2 and E1, say E3 and E2. So you require, or E4 and E3. So you have only one pair of energy levels. That's why you had only one wavelength. But now, in case of CO2 laser, you have a choice. There are two types of wavelengths you can get. Though in case of ND-YAG laser also, there are some possibilities which we have not discussed. But the point is there also, when we talked about ND-YAG, 1.064 is the most probable wavelength. That means lasing is done generally in between E2 and E3 energy levels. There are other energy levels that may be involved, which I have not drawn here. But this one is the most prominent one. But here, both are prominent, 9.6 micrometer and 10.6 micrometer. Now, let's understand the construction. So this is the basic thing. This is the chamber. This is the chamber in which you can place your gases. So you require 3 inlet, for one for helium, one for nitrogen, one for carbon dioxide. If you want to use vapor, water vapor, instead of helium, you place water vapor. Ratio is in general CO2. If you give CO2 1 unit, then N2 will be 2 unit, He will be 3 units. That means 1:2:3. CO2, N2, helium. Or in this way, if I say helium to nitrogen to CO2, it will be roughly 3:2:1. That will be the ratio. Okay. That means you can think that CO2 is doped in nitrogen. Helium is required only for a specific purpose. Active medium is constructed by these two. These are the actual gases which you require, N2 and CO2. So this is the mixture, and you for electric discharge you require 2 electrodes. So these are the 2 electrodes. When you connect it with the power supply, then you can supply electrical energy. You require 2 mirrors, so you can place the 2 mirrors at the 2 ends. Here, in general, in case of CO2 laser, instead of flat mirrors, this spherical mirrors are used, so that more concentration can be utilized. I'm not going into that. In fact, here booster windows are also used to make the light, make the emitted light polarized in a particular way. So these are the other engineering aspects. So far we are concerned, our active medium can be placed, the pumping mechanism can be done, and optical resonator can be constructed. That's all. Next, energy level. CO2 is also a 4-level energy system. 4 level. Why 4 level? Though we are observing so many energy levels here, we'll understand. Okay. So here again, first thing, pumping. You require pumping. Pumping is done by the same process as you have done in case of helium neon. So between helium and neon, helium was initially pumped because helium gas atoms were excited first by the energy supplied by the electrons. Here also, whenever electric discharge occurs, you are supplying energy, electrical energy. Nitrogen atoms, not nitrogen, sorry, my mistake, nitrogen molecules. These will absorb the energy and will be excited. So nitrogen will absorb the energy and these were energy, they will stay. Now, vibrational energy levels of carbon dioxide, there are defined vibration energy levels. As I have mentioned, it is not electronic energy levels, as we have discussed previously. It is different type of energy levels. I am not going into discussion of that because that is not required for you. But please understand, these energy levels are created due to vibration of the carbon dioxide molecule. That means if I can draw a carbon dioxide molecule, suppose this is how a CO2 molecule look like. This C and this 2O. Okay. Now this molecule can vibrate in different way. Suppose I'm giving one example. Suppose carbon is not vibrating at all, and these two oxygens are vibrating symmetrically on both sides of the carbon. Then it is called symmetrical vibration. If they are not moving symmetrically, that means suppose all three are vibrating, carbon is vibrating in positive x direction, oxygens are vibrating along negative x direction, then asymmetric vibration occurs. Now suppose carbon is vibrating along perpendicular direction and oxygens are vibrating along horizontal direction, then we get bending vibration. So these are different types of vibration, and due to these vibrations, these energy levels are created. Like E5, this energy level is created due to asymmetric vibration. E4 is created by bending vibration. E3 and E2 are created by this symmetrical vibrations. So these are energy levels. This E5, the fifth vibration energy level, is very close to the level of nitrogen, energy level of nitrogen. Therefore, whenever nitrogen atoms are excited here by the electric discharge, these excited nitrogen atoms or molecules, when collide with carbon dioxide molecules, then energy transfer is possible through collision. So again, energy transfer is due to collision, like helium neon laser. You observe here also same process. Always use comparison. It will be easier to remember and understand. So by this method, now carbon dioxide molecules are excited. So now here some carbon dioxide molecules are present. Okay. And this one is the metastable. This one is the metastable. You remember, in case of helium neon, this one is the metastable energy level. Just like that. Just like that. This is the metastable energy level. Now, difference is that generally population inversion occurs between the metastable energy level and the energy level just below it. That means E4. Yes, population inversion will occur between E4 and E5, but it will occur between E3 and E5 also. That means here lasing is possible between E5 and E4. So some atoms can be de-excited from E5 to E4. Similarly, some atoms can be de-excited from E5 to E3 directly. That means as if you are in the 5th floor, it is expected that you will go to 4th floor and visit the flats there. Then you will go to 3rd floor. But suppose you did not visit any flat in 4th floor. You directly went from 5th floor to 3rd floor. Same process. The atoms do not de-excite to E4. They de-excite to E3 directly. That is also possible here. I'm not going into that. Why? In some cases, so there is some restriction. In some cases, there is not. But it is what happens here. That means now E5 minus E4 is possible. That means you get one type of wavelength. That wavelength is 10.6 micrometer. Whereas when the de-excitement occurs between these two, you get different wavelength. That wavelength is 9.6 micrometer. So both are in infrared. But the point is that you can get two different wavelengths from carbon dioxide laser. Then rest. So these we are interested only between these two energy levels. Other energy levels we are not interested because between E4 to E3 or E4 to E2, E2 to E1, either spontaneous emission occurs or heat is generated. So we are not interested. So this is how carbon dioxide laser occurs. So it is just same like a helium neon laser, only the difference is that it is a molecular energy level system. That means the whole molecule is involved. The energy levels are due to molecular vibrational state, and we are getting two wavelengths instead of a single wavelength. Both are highly probable. Now, one thing I just forgot to mention: helium. Why you have used helium? Nitrogen, you understand. Nitrogen you use. Carbon dioxide is used. Why helium? Now, when some atoms are at E2, you want all those atoms to come down to E1 as quickly as possible, because you want to excite those atoms from E1 to E5. You want to excite those atoms. So if the an excitement absorption process increases with number of atoms, more number of atoms, more rate will be there. So you require these atoms present here to be de-excited to E1 at a faster rate, and for that the helium is used. I'm not going to the process, but that is the reason helium should also be present in the gas mixture to increase the rate of the process. So this is all about type of lasers.